What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 18 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined, as always, by my very good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello, hello.
And the mayor of Haken himself, Mr. Chuy Huerta.
Hello, hello. I wanted to copy you.
Now I want to do hello, hello.
Wow. Okay, I see how it is. On the week our show officially becomes an adult, we've all turned into children. I see how it is. Well done, everyone.
Well, see, that's the thing. It actually makes sense, right? Because in your country, it's the week that you become an adult. In our country, it's the week where they tell you you're an adult, but you don't actually have any rights except for,
Okay, yeah.
I guess throwing your
You can
vote.
vote. You can join the army. You got all the good things, but
all those good things.
You actually want to do.
All of those personal liberties you
Only
were
the
definitely
best.
waiting for.
Only the best.
So welcome back to another episode of Nintendo Noise. We've got just a packed show this week. We've got some really fun questions in the question block. We've got a little check-in on the Game Awards Nintendo nominations. We're going to throw up some predictions considering the show is happening later this week, and we'll be watching it live on twitch.tv/flipscreengames. So you're going to want to tune in there. And we got a bunch of comments from the community, all about, kind of their hopes and dreams for what announcements we might see at the Game Awards. So we're gonna talk all about that stuff and more on this week's episode of Nintendo Noise. But before that, let me remind you that this episode of the show is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of December for the very first time. They are Andy Radford, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Smilky Shake, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. So cool to see some new names on the list this month. Y'all are the reals to the real, and we really appreciate your support over there on the Patreon. It is, of course, the best way to show us that you enjoy what we're doing and that you want to get some more of it, and to get some goodies and perks along the way. Speaking of which, if you support us at any level over on that there patreon.com/flipscreengames, you can get access to our to weekly episodes of our exclusive show called One More Thing. On this last week's show, we talked about live music, going to concerts, something that I've been very, very happy to be able to do again now that, the vaccine is about and it's been a little bit safer for live music to happen. So that's something I had greatly missed, and we talked all about it, and a bunch of other really cool stuff. So if you want to hear us talk about what's going on outside of our lives, behind the controller, One More Thing is a great way to do that and to get a little bit of extra flip screen in your feed every week. Plus, there's a bunch of other really cool perks and goodies you can get, including the VODs of all of our Twitch streams, including this week's Game Awards watch-along. So if you can't catch it live, maybe you're, a European, and that's literally the middle of the night for you by the time that show's over. Don't worry, it's super easy for you to go and check out those VODs over on the YouTube channel as long as you are a Patreon supporter. So go check it out, or come hang out with us for the next one live. We'd love to see you in the chat. But, of course, even if you don't have any money to toss our way over on the Patreon, there's a bunch of ways that you can get involved with the show, with the community. Head over to flipscreen.games. That is our website. We have links to all of the ways that you can interact with the show, including writing in, just like a bunch of folks did for our question block and our main topics this week. And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can hit us up at questions@flipscreen.games. You can join our Discord, where that is the best place probably to submit your questions and keep the conversation rolling after the show. All the folks that you see write in every single week, they are there hanging out, chatting with us, chatting about video games, helping each other find next-gen consoles, all kinds of good stuff. It is a safe, inclusive, and friendly community for you to talk about video games and related passions. So we hope you'll come be a part of what we're building over there. It's a fun place to hang out. And then last but not least, you can hit us up on Twitter at FlipScreenGames. Every week we throw up a thread and ask for questions for the show. So come be a part of it. Speaking of questions, I'm going to pull this first one from the question block. This one comes from one of our Patreon producers, Smilky Shake, who wrote in and said, if you all still have your 3DS activity logs intact, what are your top 5 played games on there? So,
well, I don't have a 3DS, but I want to try and guess your twos.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Chewy, I think your number one might be Animal Crossing.
I think
I,
that's probably right.
there's probably not a question about that one.
Number two, maybe. So I'm guessing number one's New Leaf. Is number two Happy Home Designer? I don't know how much time you
How do
spend
you
on
find
that.
your activity
I
log is
don't
my
know.
question. I don't know where it is.
There is an app on your 3DS called
Activity
it's just
log?
called Activity Log. Yeah, it's got a little bar graph on it.
You know what else I'm realizing? The back plate on my 3DS, little loose. I gotta
Must
get
be in
a,
there.
To get it fixed.
I gotta get like a glasses screwdriver and tighten this boy up. I can feel it. All right, where are you, activity log? Let's find this, because I'm
Yeah,
very
actually-
interested to see what the answer is. I couldn't even hazard a guess, to be honest with you.
I have been wanting to check since we saw this question, but then I was like, no,
We gotta keep it for the show.
Yeah. All right. Should I look? Should I?
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what it
You
is?
you
Have
look
a
at
look,
yours
have a
while I
look.
try to find mine.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble.
Okay.
I'm
So it's
not.
by playtime, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I mean, miles ahead of everything. Animal Crossing New Leaf
Of
with
course.
Mhm.
1,012 hours
Oh my
and
God.
45 minutes.
1,012 hours.
It's honestly more than that because I did spend before I got my 3DS modded to capture footage off of
Uh-huh.
it. I was using Sergio's 3DS, and I'm sure there's like probably another 100 or so hours on
Do you guys
that
remember
one.
Face Raiders? It's like it was the
Yes.
pack-in game. I want to talk about this real quick because I haven't thought about
Oh, was
Face
that the
Raiders.
AR thing with the cards?
Well, you would scan the face and then it was like you could shoot
Mhm.
stuff. So I
Yeah,
want to bring this
yeah.
up because I haven't thought about Face Raiders in probably like 10 years. And the face that it has from, I guess, the last time I played it is my boss from my job in high school.
Oh man.
Shout out to David. He was a really good boss. He was a good guy.
Yeah, I have a couple in-laws faces on mine because they just like, I don't know, I'd gone somewhere, they picked up my 3DS and were like, oh, let's just play this random game
Oh,
on
that's
here.
funny.
Oh,
I saw it and I
no.
was so surprised. It was hilarious.
Oh,
Okay.
man. I think mine's fucked. It says that I only have 2 titles played, which is not
You
correct.
must have reset
Ever?
it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you messed up.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
man,
what
that's
are
such a
they?
bummer.
All right. Let's go with just Chewy's then.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Okay. So number 1, Animal Crossing, of course. Number 2, the Street Pass Me Plaza.
Wow. That counts.
It counts. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I spend a lot of time on those Street Pass games. I even paid for like the extra ones that they had because I was obsessed with them. I loved them. I used to go to Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con every year, so I
Uh-huh.
got just so much Street Pass every single day. I was just like, all right, I'm waiting in another line. Time to play my Street Pass for now and then get some more later. The next one, this one's surprising to me. I didn't think this was going to be on here. Pokemon Y.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and I should say, Street Pass had 162 hours.
Okay, so only 900 hours behind Animal
Yeah.
Crossing.
Yeah, not too far behind. Pokemon Y, 125 hours. And then Fire Emblem Awakening is number 4 with 115. I honestly thought this one was going to be number 2. Yeah.
Wow.
And then number 5 is Fire Emblem Fates with 108 hours. And
Okay.
that also seems obvious to me because there's like 3 different games in that one. I got the special edition that has like all 3 of them on one cart. So, yeah.
You know, I am surprised. I never realized how big of a Fire Emblem fan you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Chewie's a big Fire
I'm a
Emblem
huge
fan.
Fire Emblem fan. I've been a fan. The first one I played was Radiant Dawn on the Wii. And then my friend let me borrow Path of Radiance, which was the GameCube one, and he kept asking for it back, and I was like, "Fine, I'll give it back to you." Which now that game sells for like $300 used. So
Should have been like, can I buy it off you? Let's give
Yeah.
you $20 for it.
You know
He,
what's...
he it's just like his favorite game, so he wasn't gonna let me keep that.
You know what's super weird about this? I'm looking at it, and like it says I only have 2 games on my list and everything. But when I go to my software library, it says that like I've played all these games for like these random hour amounts, some of which seem accurate and some of which don't. Like it says I have 270 hours in Pokemon X. Like that's probably right.
Are you clicking the right buttons to get there? Because there's like the library when you first click in. I guess if you go like to the main home place,
Yeah.
you go to software library,
Okay.
and then you click ranking.
Oh. Okay.
that might
Okay.
pull
I
it
got
up
it.
for
I
you.
got it. Okay. Okay. Well, then I have mine.
Yay! Success.
Oh.
Number 6. Now I'm interested in my top 10. Number 6. This is I also thought would be higher up there. Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, which has 87 hours, and I still haven't beaten it. 7
That
was
sounds like
Pokemon.
Persona 5 for me. Like
Yeah,
75 hours into the
basically.
game and I'm still haven't beaten it.
Still not done.
7th is Pokemon Omega Ruby. 8th is Super Smash Bros. 4 3DS. 9th is Pokemon Sun, and then 10th is Mario Kart 7.
Okay. So
Yeah.
here I've got mine. Number 1, Pokemon X. Number 2, Animal Crossing New Leaf. Number 3, Pokemon Sun. Number 4, Bravely Default. Number 5, Pokemon Silver. Number 6 is actually not right, because it's Pokemon White 2. But I told that story about how I bought that cartridge that I did not play.
Just so you could cheat.
So I guess it
yeah.
pulled the time from that. I don't know, because I definitely didn't put 25 hours into this. Then I've got Super Smash Brothers, Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, Ocarina of Time 3D, and then The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Number 10.
Huey, do you get the impression Pete likes Pokemon?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
It's like it's
How
all
many Pokemon games
Pokemon,
was in that
Zelda,
list?
Mario, and like that's it. It's like Bravely Default is like the one outlier. Even
Neither
like
of
going
you went
further
back
down
and
the
played.
list, it's like very predictable. It's like Super Mario 3D Land, Star Fox 64, Majora's Mask 3D, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Yeah, you know.
Neither of you played like Metroid, Samus Returns or anything? Or is it just because there's not enough hours in that game that it would...
No, and honestly, I feel like it came out just a little late. you know?
Yeah, I was already not
Thanksgiving,
playing the
yeah.
3DS by that point.
Yeah, there's like several games that I surprisingly missed. I never played Link Between Worlds, for example. That's one that I'm like, oh, I should go back and buy that before those games start to disappear, you know?
Mm.
So there were a lot of games on 3DS in general, and I think it's hard to have them all, especially when you're playing Pokemon for 500 hours.
I know for me, I was also just not that into the 3DS. Like, I think of the Nintendo handhelds, it's probably the one that I played the least. And obviously, I still played it a lot. Like, if you look at my top 10, it's probably over 1,000 hours of play easily. Or at least close to it. I don't know. But I was not super deeply engaged with the 3DS ecosystem in the way I was the DS and the Switch now, you know. I think that was probably for a couple reasons. Like, I had a period where I was definitely playing it a lot. And I think that's kind of evidenced by which games are the ones at the top of my list, and it's games kind of in the middle of its life cycle. Because I feel like Link Between Worlds is maybe the newest release that came out that Sun and Moon would have been that I really sunk a lot of time into. I think it was just like after a while I felt like the hardware was like starting to show its age, and I just was enjoying playing on it less. And like I ended up getting a Vita, and I really liked that, and I spent a good amount of time on that in kind of those intermittent years between waning interest in the 3DS and like when the Switch came out. But I was mostly playing on home console or PC during that time. Like I had a big phase where I was playing a lot of multiplayer PC stuff, and I wasn't going out, I wasn't traveling, I wasn't in college anymore. So I just didn't have as many use cases for a portable device, especially when it didn't feel like it had software that was like really like forcing me to pay attention, in the way that it had maybe when it was a little bit newer.
Yeah, I get that. And I think I got there eventually. I'd say like the middle lifespan of the 3DS was really where I played a lot of it. Like once Animal Crossing hit, I played it all the time, and then I got tons of games through that. But I think in general, like it's worth revisiting for a lot of the kind of virtual console stuff they have on there. Like if you haven't picked up Pokemon trading card game from 1998,
I played a good amount of that, yeah, when it came.
It's so good. Yeah, but they have a lot of really cool things there, and even some like I don't know, there's WarioWare Touched from the DS that's available on that too. The WarioWare selection is really good on here.
I definitely feel like part of my probably like lukewarm, I guess, like overall feelings about the 3DS. And maybe that's harsh because it's not like I didn't like it at the time or like I think back on it negatively, but I also never upgraded. So like you can see like I've got to launch 3DS, which is a small screen, not very high quality.
That's what I used to have.
Yeah. So I think all those things probably contributed to me just like being a more casual fan of the 3DS overall. Whereas like obviously I'm very very invested in the Switch ecosystem. That's what I was trying to say there. But I do remember like getting the 3DS was like a big deal. I got it like right after the price cut. I hadn't been able to afford it, and my ex and I were like, we had been dating for like maybe a year around that time, and I remember when the price dropped. She took me to the mall and was like, oh, like I got to go run to the mall and grab something. And then she's like, why don't we stop at GameStop, and just like got me a 3DS. And it was like a really, really like nice surprise and super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to the 3DS. Little baby retrospective.
Yeah, upgrading though, the new 3DS was definitely ran a lot better.
Yeah.
I had a 2DS new 2DS XL. I think that was the new moniker on there. That had a really nice screen. It was like a solid piece of like flat glass on the top. It was really, really nice.
I thought about upgrading to that like after it was already kind of old and just like that, like then I'll just have one that could be like my definitive 3DS if I ever want to go back. But I'm like, am I going to though?
Yeah, I never touched it. Really, never ever touched it.
Yeah.
And I swear that came out after the Switch, right? The new 2DS XL.
I think so. It was either right before or right around its release.
I think I got it after the Switch because I got it super cheap and basically played some of Ocarina of Time on it, and that was about it. I didn't play anything else.
It came out after the Switch.
That's insane. Was that your first 3DS, Steve? Did you not have one before that?
Yeah, that was my first one. No, I never had one. My ex had one, like a launch one, after the price cut, because I don't think anyone bought it before the price cut. And
I know exactly one person.
The ambassador.
Yeah.
And he basically just played the N64 games on it: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Star Fox 64.
I mean, sorry, Lilac Wars.
Yeah. No, they re-released it as Star Fox 64 over here.
Oh, that's insane.
It's like, okay, fine. And then sold it, so I never really experienced any of the other games, which was a shame, because I know there was a lot of good stuff on that system.
Yeah, it's a great library. When you really like get down to it, there's a lot of really, really good, memorable games on it, for sure. But yeah, that was a good question. Thanks for that, Smoky Shake. That was a really fun one. Write in with more creative questions like that, you guys. They're fun, they're challenging. I wouldn't think of them, and it saves us time when we put the show together. So let's jump into our conversation about the Game Awards. We already did a prediction show about the Game Awards over on Flipscreen, our sister podcast. So if you want to go check that out, you can go hear some of me and Steve's predictions. But I wanted to just kind of talk about these and then, have a brief conversation around what we're expecting to see from the Nintendo side of things this week. Any of our maybe predictions about some of the announcements and stuff like that. I think there's a lot to chew on considering it's now so imminent. And remember, tune in for the watch along Thursday, twitch.tv/flipscreengames. So for Game of the Year, Metroid Dread is in the conversation. For Best RPG, we have Monster Hunter Rise and Shin Megami Tensei 5. For Best Family Game, it's literally every single one of the nominees is a Nintendo game except for It Takes Two. So that's, of course, Pokemon Snap.
And I wonder if Nintendo's going to win, because It Takes Two is in line for Game of the Year, and it's seemingly a fantastic game.
If Nintendo doesn't win the Best Family category, that's rough. That's a rough year for them. But, of course, we've got Pokemon Snap, Mario Party Superstars, Super Mario World plus Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together. And then we have kind of a timeline here that Steve pointed out earlier when we were discussing this as a topic, right? So Nintendo has announced something at the Game Awards every year since the Switch's release. And actually a little bit before that, because I believe the year prior to that was the Funky Kong announcement, right? It was 2016 for Tropical Freeze, if memory serves.
No, I think it was the year before that.
So that was 15. Okay, so either way,
yeah.
They have a history.
I think 16 they skipped because they'd already pre-announced the NX was coming. They skipped the 2016 year, and then we had like the reveal of the Switch.
Right.
In, I think it was January that year.
Yeah, right. So maybe they were just like, oh, hey, NX is coming, like whatever. But Steve brought up this list that we have of every year from the Switch on. So in 2017, there was Bayonetta 3 and Breath of the Wild DLC. In 2018, it was Joker and Smash. In 2019, it was Bravely Default 2. And 2020, it was Sephiroth and Smash. So, obviously, there's a history there of Nintendo revealing things at the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley seemingly has a pretty strong relationship with Nintendo in that regard, considering he's been able to line these up over and over. And there's also the wrinkle that I believe it was yesterday at the time of this recording. Jeff announced that there were, I think, 4 to 5 major announcements that he said were on the level of the reveal of, what is it? The George Railroad...
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, yeah. George Railroad's Martin. Elden Ring. He said 4 or 5 announcements on the caliber of Elden Ring because of all the delays last year. So pretty safe, I would say, to think that Nintendo's got something big that's going to be announced at this show. The question is what that is. So before we get into our thoughts or hopes, I guess maybe more than thoughts, we have a couple of responses from the community that I wanted to roll in here. So this first one comes from Olaf, a.k.a. Yarno, from the community. He says, see them announce something Smash-related after saying, nope, no more Smash Fighters. That'd be the most Nintendo thing ever. Can you imagine if they were like, Season 3, bitch? Like, I
think that'd be next year.
We've locked Sakurai in a warehouse. We're never letting him out.
No, I think it's next year, because look at the timeline. It's like, this is the off year where it's not a Smash announcement, because last year was Smash, year before that was a game, year before that was Smash. So we're due for some kind of new game this year.
I mean, I think just along the lines of Smash, like if there ever was a time to not expect it and then just drop something that's like super unexpected, now would be the time to say, all right, one more Smash fight.
Nice Waluigi.
That would be hilarious.
That would just be like, nobody would see that coming, except us now. But
we called it. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Speaking of things you heard here first, friend of the show, AJ McRae from Fanatics4 wrote in and said, I think this is the year we get the Nintendo 2. You heard it here first, folks. Put that one on the bank.
No. I've been waiting since the 80s.
NES 2, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember before the NX had been revealed, I remember that was a theory that people were throwing around. Like, what if they just call this the Nintendo, right? And it's like we're not going to do branding anymore. It's just this is what it is, and we iterate or something like that. I wouldn't hate it.
They can't do it now because the problem is their brand has branched out too much, right? So you've got them working with movie studios and building theme parks and doing mobile games.
But
and
that's
diversifying
Nintendo
their
blank.
brand.
This is the Nintendo.
I just don't think it works. I think it works if you are just like, that is the name of your company. Say your company is called PlayStation and that's what you do. But even then, like, it's the parent company, Sony, and they make the
But see, like, that's the thing that works, right? Like the PlayStation 5, right? Yes, of course, it's the PS5, but we just call it the PlayStation. Whereas PlayStation Studios is the head of the, all of the development studios, and PlayStation Pictures is the movie arm, and PlayStation PC and PlayStation Mobile. And
I think Xbox is probably a better example of that, right? Where they're trying now to make Xbox this like global brand.
Yeah.
It's like you've got Xbox Game Pass, you've got Xbox Cloud Gaming, you've got Xbox Series and Series X and S, and these consoles. It's like Xbox is the brand, and then everything's attached to it. But Nintendo's been doing that for a long time
Forever.
now. They've always been shoving Nintendo into their logos more and more. Like the Wii was, I think, the last one that didn't explicitly have Nintendo in like the actual logo itself. It's kind of the offshoot that I can't, like, all of the other ones seem they have
There was
Nintendo
kind of like
in
a
it.
gap there, right? With like it was the Nintendo GameCube, but it was mostly like that little GameCube logo, and then the Wii one. But before then, it was like Nintendo 64. It's built in, and
Yeah.
Super
SNES, Super
NES.
Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all built in there, except for like those two consoles in the middle there. I guess the Wii U as well, but nobody wants to be associated with that one.
I think
too
that's the
much.
But if you
thing,
think
right?
about
Because like,
the DS as well, though, like the DS had Nintendo built into the like two
Yeah.
screens logo.
yeah,
It like ended with it, and that was the O in the Nintendo.
Yeah, and then they did too many things, which we already talked about, where it's like new Nintendo 2DS, new Nintendo 3DS. So they just add new in front of it, and it's suddenly different. But
but all new, all
yeah,
different Nintendo.
yeah, it feels like even with Xbox though, it's confusing. Where you're just like Xbox
Oh, it's
Series
awful branding.
X, and you're like Xbox One X, and there's too many different Xboxes, and
The series
I don't know.
thing is
But-
like, I think, probably the worst naming convention in the history of consoles. It's really not
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like we could have done better than that. Like, I feel like we could have called it like the Xbox 2 and the Xbox 2 Mini, and that still would be better. Just
No, it would be like, you just go with the phone, don't you? You have the Xbox and the Xbox Pro, and everyone wants the Pro one. It's the one that does like the little bit extra. It's like a nicer screen. It's got a fancier camera. Or you get the normal one, which is probably suitable for the everyday consumer who doesn't really care about the cutting edge tech. They just want to play the latest Halo. And that's the route they should have gone. Xbox and Xbox Pro.
oh well.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity, I suppose. This next one comes from another one of our Patreon supporters, Mr. Trendy Brendy, who wrote in and said, I'm going to lowball my prediction for their announcement and say it'll be a nice little indie game published by Nintendo, like a Snipper Clips or a Good Job or The Stretchers. And it will be met with a, that's it? No Smash? I think I'm going to disagree with you, Brendy. Maybe I'm getting my hopes up. I think we're all guilty of that, right? So I don't want to like hype anybody up and then we get upset. Like, if you can have predictions, if you want to be excited, you got to be prepared for that disappointment as well. So, grain of salt. But I think with what Jeff said and the fact that, we don't know a lot about kind of what the future of Nintendo's release schedule looks like. That was something we were going to talk about this episode before we got so much reader mail.
I disagree on that. I feel like we know a lot is coming next year. Like we know spring for at least 2 games. We've got Bayonetta, and then we'll talk about it on another show, but there's a lot coming next year. They could get away with not announcing anything, and they would still have a really good year next year.
But we also don't have a lot of concrete data about some of those things, right? Like, yes, like we have, okay, Bayonetta is supposed to come next year. We have this, Kirby title on the horizon. Speaking of which, another one of our Patreon supporters, Affy Lockhart, wrote in and said, "I'm ready for a new Kirby adventure. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how well it translates to a fully 3D game." So, we have Kirby. We've got obviously Breath of the Wild 2. We've got Splatoon 3.
Mario Rabbids.
Oh yeah, Mario Rabbids
Wars
2.
That got pushed over there.
What else do we have?
Pokemon Legends kicking off the year.
What's that?
Pokemon Legends kicking off the year.
Yeah,
January.
Legends Arceus. We've got Advance Wars. Not that I necessarily think we'd see that, but all of those games are coming next year. Only a couple of them have dates. So,
and I think that's fine because they're in the swing now, and you've seen the pattern of it this last year, 3 to 6 months ahead of the release window. That's all they want to give.
Yeah.
And I think they got stung with Metroid, and they don't want to do it again. I mean, Metroid got announced at E3, and it came out 4 months later.
Yeah, right. But I'm wondering if maybe we get a similar thing like we saw in 2017, where it's like, because Bayonetta 3 I don't think was announced at the Game Awards, right? That was talked about in the initial Switch event, wasn't it?
No, it was announced at the Game Awards. It was
ahead of the
thing
event?
with. No, it came at the event. Reggie was there on stage. Bayonetta 3 was announced. And then you got the Bayonetta 1 and 2.
I could have sworn that the Bayonetta
also
logo was in the original presentation, but I guess I'm remembering that wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Like that January 3rd presentation or whatever it was, the very first one, 2017. That one was the one that like they mentioned Bayonetta 3. I think that's where they mentioned like No More Heroes 3 as well. And then I don't know, just some other things.
But they were like name dropping games. It was very much like and that they also talked about Metroid Prime and like all of those things at that point. So if Chuy remembers it too, I'm going to say that probably happened. So what my point of bringing that up was that wasn't the first time we heard about it, but it was the first time we got like a real update on it. And then it was also coupled with the Breath of the Wild DLC, which was an announcement. So I'm wondering if it could be something like that, where it's like, hey, here's your next look at Breath of the Wild 2, and here's an announcement of something that you're not aware of, but we're going to talk about it next year, or something like that. I don't know. But
problem is, I think if it's Breath of the Wild 2, the only thing I think we need now is the name. Whether they reveal the name here or not, I don't know, because they've said that the name reveals either part of the story or a game mechanic that they don't want to reveal yet. So I can't see it, but I could see them doing that with one of the spring releases, Splatoon 3 or Kirby. Actually, I don't even think Splatoon's had a spring date on it. I think it's still just 2022.
And we literally haven't even seen like how much of Splatoon 3 have we seen, right? Like we got that
We've seen a fair amount at this point. We've had 2 trailers, right, Chuy? I think
the first one was just like a lore trailer.
And then they did drop quite a bit on like Twitter, but that was more like weapon types of things, not too much on like maps and stuff, which if it's like any other of the Splatoons, it's probably going to launch with like 5 maps and then get a bunch post release over time. So they've shown quite a bit for it, and it's mostly like probably just a date on that end.
I wonder if you get something for one of the games that's out, whether they do the DLC thing. Maybe they say Mario Party's in here for best family game. Why don't we release reveal a DLC for it or something?
I would love that.
DLC for that game it's the best Mario Party ever. Like as soon as they add some more to it, it's just the best one.
That would be amazing, especially if it was like and it's available now. Like that would be fucking
I could definitely see like a shadow drop.
That. Be like, but that's like you just see the Game Awards viewership cut in half. Everyone's like, I gotta play Mario Party.
That'll be available after the show, just like that Matrix thing,
right? This next one comes from friend of the show, Sierra Plus Ultra, who you can catch over on twitch.tv/Sierra Plus Ultra. And she wrote in and said, Digimon Survive. It's been confirmed for Switch, but delayed 2 years already, LMAO.
I'm waiting for that too.
Yeah, you folks are going to be waiting a while longer on that one, I think. And I definitely wouldn't expect to see it at this because it's not Nintendo published. So,
that's a Bandai Namco.
Pour one out for Sierra on that one.
Jeff's got a good relationship with Bandai Namco.
That is true.
Doing
You're right.
Elden Ring.
You're right.
That's
You're
true.
right. You know what? I take it back. You know what? Pull that one up. You know what? We won't pull it out. We'll see what happens. We can all
They
believe.
have pretty cool trailers for that game though already, because it's all like, just their anime art that they have that I love. I've always loved that style. But
I would be down for that game to be good. I used to really like the Digimon games back in the day, and I feel like it's been a minute since there was one that felt substantial.
This one's supposed to be like Fire Emblem, like more strategy RPG, I think. So
if they've got social links and stuff, I'm in. Like, if I can be like a teenager in Japan who like has to hang out and go to school, and then after hours we get to go to the digital world and battle it out. Like, I'm in for that.
It seems like it's like that, so I'm down.
Fingers crossed.
I need someone to tell me of a game that's just that, where I don't have to go into a dungeon and do any fighting. I just want the slice of life, social links, and I think is basically I want a dating sim. The slice of life going around Japan.
Play Life is Strange, you son of a bitch.
No, because that's got a story. I don't really want any of that. I just want I'm in this world, doing what I want. I'm in Japan. I can't go there for real at the moment, but I can wander around the streets and have a good time.
Just play Persona, you son of a bitch.
All the stuff around it just gets in the way.
Just play it on easy.
The game.
Just blow through all
the thing.
Maybe you just need to watch anime. Just watch.
I think maybe I do.
Anime.
Yeah, I think I do. Recommend me slice of life anime. I'm fine with that too. I'll happily start anything.
Can you imagine?
I'm open to it.
Like that's like is it this year? Time is fucking meaningless now. I literally don't even know. At some point in the last 18 months, I got into basketball, and it was the weirdest character development I've ever had. And I'm imagining Steve's about to become a weeb, and I don't know that I can handle a world where Steve's a weeb.
Next week, I'm coming on with cat ears, and that's what you can expect.
We come on, and what's the thing you always say in the beginning of the show that we were making fun of? Hello. Yeah, and instead he says Moshi Moshi, like.
Yeah, and I'll be like this.
Doki doki, everyone. Oh my god. All right, this last one comes from Rocky, who wrote in and said, I think Nintendo will announce something, but I'm not sure what. If I had to predict something, here's my 2-part wild card wish. A new Breath of the Wild 2 trailer with more gameplay, more about the story, and a full title of the game in one half of the show. Then, in the other half of the show, a teaser trailer for Metroid Prime 4, followed by an announcement for the rumored Metroid Prime remaster with a release date of the first half of 2022. I'll tell you what, Rocky, if you're right, that will be the hypest fucking Game Awards ever. That would be nuts.
I could absolutely see them being
It's
right.
Not crazy, but like
it's not a crazy prediction.
Both of those things is crazy. I don't think they'll do both, but one or the other, I think makes a shitload of sense. Because in the same way that Steve drew the line about Mario Party, the narrative writes itself for either of these as a thing, right? Of the idea of them being like, Breath of the Wild 2, it's been nominated or maybe in this case voted, right? Most anticipated game of the year twice in a row. What an incredible honor. The team's been working so hard on it to show you this first look at Breath of the Wild 2. Boom. And then we get the reveal.
Third look.
Yeah, right.
That follows the narrative that Jeff did with Elden Ring, right? It ended out the Summer Games Festival that he did, so maybe he ends the show with the sequel to Breath of the Wild. However, I think there's 2 predictions that we're missing hit from the list.
Well, I was gonna say though, just before we get off this, the Metroid thing makes sense too because an amazing
Metroid
honor,
thing
Metroid
sense,
Metroid been gone for 15 years, whatever the fuck, and then here it is, Game of the Year or nominated for Game of the Year. What an incredible honor! Here's you look at the next step, the next stage of the Metroid franchise.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Both though, that's a Nintendo.
That would be nuts. That's so unprecedented, and it could happen. Who knows with Nintendo? But that would be amazing. What a mic drop that would be to come out with that as a 1-2 punch. Fucking forget about it. So anyway, Steve, you said there's some predictions you think we're forgetting. What do you got?
So from our lists, Pete, I think. And the more I've been thinking about it, the more I think it's a possibility that Nintendo show us another console here. And this
You're
is
fucking crazy. Right? You're a crazy person. The more I think about it.
Last year, or actually I think it was 2019, right? Microsoft showed us the Series X for the first time in 2019 at the Game Awards. I could see the same thing happening with Nintendo teasing the next Switch, whatever that is, or a Switch Pro or
They
something.
just put out a new model, though. They
just put a new model of like tons of their previous consoles, and they did it again. Like, what was it?
They put out a new
DS Lite,
new 2DS XL after the Switch was
after
out.
the Switch. You cannot think that this company makes sense in any any way.
Can I go further with that though? Because
Sure.
I think the most Nintendo thing that could happen is that they announce a new handheld console. Like, it's just a completely new thing from the Switch, and it's just a handheld console.
All right, I'll give you that would be the most Nintendo shit ever. I cannot see it, Steve. I cannot see it because I think you're absolutely correct to say Nintendo's crazy. Nintendo does crazy things all the time. If it happens, I'll completely eat my words on this one. But I feel like not only is it in the direct aftermath of them, they just put out this iteration of the Switch, I feel like the difference between the new 2DS and the Switch is that they put that out to serve a different market, right? Like that was very much aimed at families, and probably families who already owned a 3DS, who didn't want a Switch or couldn't afford it, or, didn't know about it, whatever, right? That was a product that I feel like existed to hit certain quotas that holiday season and maybe for a year or so beyond as we sunset the 3DS, right? Which, of course, I just feel like that's such a different decision than being like, here's our next console, even though we're right now trying to get you to buy a revision of our last console. I don't know. I don't quite see it. And I feel like if it was just an iteration of the Switch, same thing, right? Where you want to space that out a little bit. You want to get a bunch of people to buy the OLED and then buy the Switch Pro or whatever, right? That's my thought, but who knows? Stranger things, right?
I mean, it seems like people already bought them, right? Aren't they all sold out?
That's true.
Yeah, they just got a restock and sold out on the same day in the UK. So, yeah, they're all sold out. They're gone. I don't know. I think people are hungry and ready for the next thing. And I think you don't show it. You just tease it. You could even just be like, this is the name.
NX2.
We're currently working on Switch 2, or we're working on a Switch Pro. You haven't got to show it. You can just say it's expected holiday 2022 or 2023. I think people are ready for it.
When is
if it were like a 2023 thing, I fully expect that Breath of the Wild sequel gets delayed to 2023, and it's like both.
It's the launch
consoles.
game.
Yeah, launch game.
It's the same thing it was with the Wii U and the Switch, but it plays significantly better on the new console.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I would like that.
Would love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. When is the Mario movie?
Next year, next holiday, I want to say.
Maybe it's time for first peek at Mario. Like Mario
Honestly,
Odyssey 2.
I was going to say that, but then I think the funniest thing they could do is just have Chris Pratt show up and do his Mario voice, whatever. It's like just
his
him.
Mario voice is just
it's going to be him.
He has one voice. It's just him.
It's just going to be him doing his Mario voice.
He's not going to be able to show up because he's not vaccinated. So he'll video in.
You're joking. Is he not vaccinated?
I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I've heard a lot of people saying that the reason he's taking so many voice roles is because he's unvaccinated and he can't work because Hollywood's very, very strict about vaccinations. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is to that. That's what I've heard. I'm not a entertainment reporter, so
we're getting hit with the defamation lawsuit this week, aren't we? That's
no, it's fine. I added a disclaimer. I heard this from other sources. I am not. You go do your own research on that one. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's not crazy either, right? Like it's been how many years since Odyssey? Several. That they're always working on a Mario project. The idea of them doing an Odyssey 2, I think, is something that for a while people thought was kind of like a foregone conclusion. I don't know that that's the case anymore. So looking at a new Mario could be an Odyssey 2. It could be a tease of a new 3D Mario. It could be a tease to a game
Seth
that's
Rogen's
like
Donkey Kong movie.
I mean, I'd be down for that.
He'll
You
show
don't
up.
think that-
He won't realize it's live, and he just smoked a lot of weed before.
That'd be great. I love Seth Rogen. That works for me. He can show up and be like, "Whoa, man, cool, new Mario, sweet."
So here's the Donkey Kong voice.
I think the thing I was gonna say was it could be a game that's like a full-length game in the style of Bowser's Fury, maybe getting teased. Maybe a new 2D Mario. We haven't had a new 2D Mario since
we had Mario Maker. It filled that niche, I think, and
It's
it
not
had
the
a
same
bunch
now.
of 2D levels in. Yeah, I just kind of feel that they think they've done that.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't.
What they used to fill in the gap on the Wii U is what they used to. It's like.
And that's the thing, though. On the Wii U, like
Switch.
those games weren't gap fillers. Like those games are best sellers. Like 2D Mario games sell really well in a way that Mario Maker like didn't. So like, I don't know. Like you could be right there, but it could be. And that game's also 2 years old.
Yeah, and we got a 2D Mario that year, right? Which one was it? New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. We got that year as well. So we have had the 2D one.
Yeah, not a new one though. Those
are
are
2D
been
ones
ports
since Odyssey. Yeah, they have been ports, but
and the idea that they're
really
working on like a new Super Mario Brothers game or a successor to that series, I feel like that's
really wonder
likely
how Nintendo's looking at like 2D Mario and just like their 2D games in general now, just when you have so many awesome 2D games coming to Switch as well. Like Celeste, I think changed things. I think that is an awesome 2D platformer that's just like, all right, bar has now been raised, which in a genre that who knew it could be raised at this point. It's been out so long. So I don't know. I know we had like Metroid Dread recently,
right?
And I was like, really great job. I just don't know how Mario's 2D platforming is going to hold up against these anymore. It's outside of Mario Maker where you can just, mess around and make whatever you want.
I think that's why it makes sense for there to be one now, though. Is like, I think in the same way that Metroid came out this year, and I think, going into that, that was a question on everybody's mind, right? Is like, will Metroid be able to live up to the standard that's been set by other Metroidvanias now in games that were inspired by Metroid and have grown and evolved the genre? Or is it going to feel like old or like a step back or a step down or like a babyfied version? And it wasn't any of those things. And I think Mario's in a similar boat right now where like Mario has been the undisputed king of platformers for forever. And I think now you have all these indies that are coming and doing it in their own way and showing that there's still innovation and still life to be, breathed into that space. And I think it only makes sense for Nintendo to be like, okay, time to come back and take the crown, Maybe I'm overreaching there, but, I think that they can do it. It's a matter of will they? And I have to imagine that they're thinking about it.
I think it's kind of the opposite in the sense of like, I think they will because it makes a lot of money. And, if they put out a Mario game, it's just going to sell quite a bit. And so my question is, can they?
Yeah.
Because there are so many good games in that space now. And who knows how they're going to revamp Mario.
I think they can. I think it's time for a revamp, though. In the way that, like, new Super Mario Brothers was a revamp in fucking 2011. Like, we haven't deviated from that.
And then they kept doing the same thing for the next 20 years.
It really got stale.
Yeah.
But I feel like they made the change with 3D World, right? That was like that shift from 2D, let's make it like pseudo 3D. I like that. I would like another one of those.
I mean, that's the thing. I
don't necessarily need a full 2D game. I'm happy for a new 3D World.
It could be another one of those. Or it could be, a new Super Mario Brothers-esque successor that has a new art style, that has a different presentation. Like, there's a lot of things that they could do to do that, and I think it's time. 2D Mario's been the same basically since the DS era, and I think it's time for whatever the next evolution of that is again, you know?
In my head, just named it New Super Mario Brothers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It would be all
unfortunately.
new. All new.
All new
All
Super
new.
Mario Brothers. Great. There we go. And I got to imagine that with the movie on the horizon, they're going to want to have fresh software to push people toward.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. I think all of those are solid predictions. I think any of them are pretty equally likely. It'll just be a matter, I guess, of what we get. But we had another topic here that I wanted to touch on, and we can talk about this a little bit before we wrap up here. So Breath of the Wild sequel, like we said, has been nominated for the most anticipated game for the second year in a row. So I wanted to look at our kind of most anticipated Nintendo games for 2022 and, hear from the audience as well. This first one comes from That Doc Guy, one of our Patreon producers, who wrote in and said, Breath of the Wild 2. No clap on the last one, which I thought was a little weird, but hey, we'll just do it just for good measure. I think that's the one on everybody's tongue, right? Is this game
it's also the one not coming in 2022, right?
You know what I think is really interesting about Breath of the Wild 2? I'm not convinced it's not coming in 2022, but I also don't think it is, because I remember we were like so confident it was going to come out this year. We were like, it's got to be coming out this year, right? Like it felt like there were all these things pointing to it. It felt like it was imminent. Now it still feels like a game where if they tell me on the 8th at the Game Awards that it's coming out in March, I'd be like, whoa, damn. It makes sense though. Like that, okay, that makes sense. But if you also told me it's delayed until 2024, I'd be like, okay, yeah, all right. I have no idea.
Ever since Animal Crossing 2019, that announcement, I can't trust anymore. So I don't get my hopes up. I just expect delays for everything that I love.
It makes sense. That's a good way to be. The one thing I don't expect will get a delay that I want to get a delay more than anything is Pokemon.
Yeah, that's not getting delayed.
It's not happening, unfortunately. I mean, who knows? It could still happen.
It's done.
But
the game is done.
It's already gold. They already sent the discs out.
Until they come out and they do a video and it's just someone in a white room and it's an apology saying that they're not happy with the game and they're just starting from scratch.
That'd be great. Fine, take your time.
It's like we're taking away development from Game Freak and we're giving it to another studio. These people are now building the game.
I mean, that's the thing. I think for me, like, Arceus is definitely one of the games I'm most excited for. But it's also the game I'm the most scared of because I know the ways in which it could disappoint me. So, I don't know. This next one comes from Olaf, a.k.a. Yarno, who said, Mario Party DLC, LOL. I'm going to keep saying this until it's announced someday. We're all right there with you, buddy.
It's coming. It's coming.
One of these
got
days.
to. Surely.
One of our Patreon producers, Wakahula, wrote in and said, man, there are so many. Currently, I'm most excited for Pokemon, Kirby, 13 Sentinels, and Breath of the Wild 2. Hell of a list.
Yeah, Polka from Fnax4 also said that he couldn't stop thinking about Kirby and the Forgotten Realm, even though he's not really into Kirby.
I love that. Yeah, despite not caring much at all for the series, I can't stop thinking about Kirby.
And I totally forgot that this game was announced until these people had reminded me of it, and then I remembered how excited I was about it. Like Kirby in a full 3D game in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It looks amazing, and this one has a pretty solid release window of spring 2022. So I'm confident that this one's coming around March, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, I don't know. It could get delayed.
It could get delayed, but I don't think it will be. If it's got spring, it's probably in localization.
Whenever a studio says, like, season 2022, I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay.
I feel like Nintendo's a lot more solid with it, though.
They're not wrong.
Season.
They're pretty solid, but I'll also say their solid is like spring is June 20th, last day of spring, first day of summer.
We were talking about spring in the southern hemisphere.
Before. Yeah, they've done that where they're like, we actually, in Japan, spring is a week longer. So even if it's summer there, it's not over here. They could always pull that.
This next one comes from another one of our Patreon supporters, Trendy Brendy, who wrote in and said, Hollow Knight Silk Song goes without saying at this point, but I also watched a video recently about Breath of the Wild ideas, and I got more excited about its sequel again. Might just have to use my new Switch OLED as yet another excuse to replay it again. I've been wanting to replay that game for like 2 years, and I keep being like, but when the sequel, though? And I keep not doing it.
You're gonna have to do it and just do it on stream like Sierra did, and then it's a reason for you.
See, now I'm just waiting because now I'm like, I want to do it on stream, but I don't want to like bite on Sierra's thing. She's playing it right now, so when she's done, maybe I'll start one up, and then everybody who misses her streams can come watch me suffer through it.
I will say though, like since I'm into Metroid now, since playing Super Metroid and Dread, I'm gonna play Hollow Knight. I've had it for a while,
Oh, yeah?
but never jumped into it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've been kind of missing my time with Dread because I played through it in that first week and it's gone and done, and now I'm just like, all right, I want something fresh that's similar. And so I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's really funny. My friend and bandmate M is a big fan of loves Hollow Knight, and I remember when I was in the process of beating Dread, it was probably the last time I talked to them about it before I beat the boss. Or before I got to the boss, I should say. So I'm very near the end of the game, and I was talking about the things I don't like about it, and the things I did like about it, and being I kind of want to try other Metroidvanias. I kind of want to go back to Hollow Knight. And they were like, you should not. I don't think you'll like Hollow Knight.
Yes. No. I've tried 3 times. I've tried since a Metroid, and every time I lose that fucking currency of those little silvery dots, and I've got to then get it all again, and I'm transported back to, is it Hallow Nest? Transported back there, and I'm just like, fuck this shit. I don't have a map. It's not. I've got to find shit. It's not clear. I lose all the currency, and I've got to start from scratch all the time. There's specific save points that are very scattered around. They're not frequent like they are in Metroid Dread. It was brutal, that game, and I know I'm not very good at video games. I just did not have a good time with that game at all. And it's not for me.
That game's notoriously difficult too, which is the thing, right? So if you're I'm not good at games, I'm worried
because that's the part that I was glad got fixed in Dread from Super Metroid, where I was like, I don't know if I could have played this without the suspend points on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
because there's so many points where you die, and you're like, great, I have so much to go through again just to get back to where I was.
Collecting all that currency to get so you can get to the shop, and then you die on the way to the shop. And then you're like, well, fucking great, because now I've got no money, and I've got to go do all of that, 2 hours I just did collecting all of that money so I could go and buy a piece of the map or an item I needed to get to the next zone. I've got to do it all again now. And I rage quit, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it again. I'm just not going to play this game. And I never went back to it.
Yeah, the character's cute, though. Real cute.
Yeah, that's true. I do like the knight.
I'm going to go with Ori, I think, as a cute Metroidvania to play.
That was what M said. Yeah, they were like, you should just play that. I'm like, all right.
Because it's so much easier.
What's that pinball one? That one looked cute, too.
Oh, Pete played that one, I think, and you didn't like it,
right?
Oh,
Into the Well? Creature in the Well.
No. Shoot, I'm looking through the list. Yoku's Island Express.
That's a different game.
Oh.
I didn't like Creature in the Well.
I thought you played that one.
No. The one I played was like a not really a Metroidvania. It's like a pinball dungeon crawler, I guess.
Yeah, this one's like a pinball Metroidvania where you shoot yourself around like you're a pinball, and it looked cute.
All right, nice. This next one, actually last one for the day, comes from One Mango, who wrote in and said, I'm most excited for Splatoon 3 and Pokemon Legends Arceus. Splatoon 3 because I love Splatoon 2, and more Splatoon is always good. I'm crossing my fingers that the game will have a PvE mode that's like Salmon Run, if not Salmon Run V2. Pokemon Legends Arceus because the new direction that they're taking for a mainline Pokemon game is very intriguing, and my hype for Pokemon is renewed as I'm currently playing through Pokemon Sword. Yeah, like I said,
I'm so
Arceus
glad.
is definitely up there for me. Same.
I'm so glad someone wrote in and said Splatoon 3. I thought we were going to get all the way through the podcast with no mention of my most anticipated game of 2022, which is Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I love Splatoon. I can't wait for more. And everything we see in that, like all of the new weapons and the things we've seen from the map and the new setting, it has me really hyped for that game. I'm very excited for it.
I'm very excited for it too. I'm very excited to be able to like play it with you two from the start. And
Will you actually get to a decent rank this time, Pete, so we can explore a lot more of the game other than turf war, please?
Here's the thing. I'll say a couple things on that note. One, yes, I will definitely try. Two, Steve, I don't know, like you said you were gonna play Halo with me though. So like
I'm gonna play Halo.
And Chuy, I mean, I was like, hey, maybe you download Halo, and you're like, I'll download Halo and play with you, and then just where's my friends? I'm out in the fire squad by myself. I got Doc and Zayd backing me up.
It's true.
None of you guys though. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'll carry you guys in Halo, and you can carry me in Splatoon. It'll be a great trade.
I'm fine with that.
Fair.
I think Chuy's gonna be carrying both of us, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's fine.
Definitely not in Halo.
No, that's for me though.
I think they are quite transferable skills, if I'm honest, Chuy. I think you'd be pretty good at Halo.
gyro controls. I'm gonna tell you right now.
We
gotta find a way for you to hook up.
Can you do gyro on a PC? Can you do that? Like if you played Halo
actually.
through the PC, does
With
that
your
work?
with your Switch
With
controller?
the Pro controller?
You might be able to.
Maybe.
That would be wild. Yeah, I mean, I think aside from that, there's not like too much else that we know about. The other thing that is currently on docket for 2022, there's 2 more games that I'm definitely really excited about. Triangle Strategy and Advance Wars 1 and 2. Reboot camp, right? Something like that. Advance Wars 1 and 2 remake. Those 2 are games I'm very excited for. Your boy loves a tactical strategy game. I'm very excited to get my my mitts on those. We'll see how Triangle Strategy turns out. Like, I really, really loved the idea of Octopath Traveler, and it just really, like, the execution of it wasn't quite for me. I'm hoping that this one will be a bit more to my taste in terms of pacing and stuff. But I think Advance Wars, if not Triangle Strategy, will scratch that itch for me. Because that's obviously pretty light on the story side of things. So I'm very much looking forward to those 2 as well.
Well, I can tell you, Triangle Strategy from the demo was very heavy on the story side of things. So I think you'll be covered on that basis, because that's all it was walls of text.
There's a whole lot of story.
I'm worried about that, honestly, because that's the thing is, like, I don't know, like, it's very weird for me because I really love story-driven games and I love a JRPG with a good story, but one of the easiest ways to turn me off to your JRPG is by just beating me over the head with story and stuff I don't care about, versus like something like Persona, which I think does a good job of being like character-driven first and lore-driven second, because at the end of the day, I don't really care that much about the rules and the mechanics of a world, right? Like, I think that's always like the least interesting thing unless you're already a fan, right? Like, once you're in, then you want to know that nerdy shit of like, oh yeah, but like, which kingdom did this in, 1,000 years earlier, and that kind of bullshit. But like, you got to win me first. And the way to do that is with characters that I like spending time with. And that was kind of the weakness of Octopath, was that not all of the characters were equally interesting, but they all had equal billing. And that was a problem for me. So I don't know. Hopefully this will be a little bit better. If this can strike more of a, a Fire Emblem note than an Octopath one, then I think I'll like it.
And if you want, there's that other kind of funky tactical game we haven't mentioned too, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Yes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that too.
The first one was great. I'm still sitting on the DK DLC for that one, but I think like once they announce an official date for this, I'll be like, all right, let me fit this in real quick, because I don't think it'll take too long to go through it. So, yeah. just waiting
Yeah,
on
I
that
never
just to
finished
get like
that.
my refresher before I hop into that world again. But
Yeah.
it was good.
Same.
It was solid.
I think I finished the main game and then didn't
Do
play
the
the
DLC.
DLC.
I think that's where I was.
Yeah. But I know I borrowed it from M, and like I just bought it on a sale like last year for like $6. And I was like, oh yeah, cool.
It's
I'll play
like
this.
the
It's
one and
always
only
so
Mario
cheap.
game
Yeah.
that's so cheap. Yeah.
I was like, I'll play this again
Yeah.
before it comes out, I guess, or something.
I mean, that one's on sale so often that I'm just like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't buy this right on day one and just wait till it's $6.
Yeah.
Like it'll eventually be.
Yeah. We'll see. It depends on when it comes out. If it comes out at a good time for it, then I'll probably snag it. But otherwise, it's one I could see myself waiting on and swinging back to. But I am looking forward to it. So yeah, there's a lot on the horizon for next year when it comes to Nintendo stuff. But I do think that they must have a couple in the chamber that we're just not aware of yet. So that's always the most exciting thing, right? Like, is always the stuff that you don't anticipate. You know, we've had that rumor about that new Donkey Kong game for like 30 years. Is that coming out? Like, we'll see.
One day. But if you think about this year, for example, all the games that I was most excited about and enjoyed this year were all games that were announced this year. I'm thinking Mario Party and Metroid, primarily.
Yeah.
And those two were only announced and released this year, so I'm fine if they don't announce anything at the Game Awards, if they've got aces up their sleeves like that for next year that
For
they
sure.
just want to drop in June, and
True.
I'll be fine with that.
I definitely would agree with that. I hope they have something for us just because, I don't know, it feels like it's been a minute since they've had like a big announcement. It feels like since the Metroid Dread and the OLED and that kind of push, it's been,
We have the Kirby thing though, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a big deal.
Presentation.
Yeah, that's definitely a big deal. But yeah, I feel like we're ready for another piece of news, right? Just something else to wet our whistle as some of these other things get closer. But yeah, I'm with you either way. Where if they don't have something to show, I don't think I'm gonna walk away too disappointed because I'm confident that they'll have other avenues to talk about them with us at some point in the future.
Yeah.
And if you get that full reveal of Breath of the Wild, that's that prediction checked for you. So then we're on even pegging. So.
That is the thing I have like more than, and like I care more about winning that competition with you than I do about seeing the reveal, if I'm honest.
So all I need is Phil Spencer and Doug Bowser to come out on stage together and announce Game Pass, and that's fine.
That's all. That's all you need.
That's it.
Yeah. Super simple. Very, very low key ask. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us here in another episode of Nintendo Noise. This was a fun one. Thank you to everybody who wrote in with their thoughts on our main topic. Thank you to our Patreon producer, Smilky Shake, for that great question block question. Remember, if you want to write in and be part of the show, there's a bunch of ways you can do that. Head over to flipscreen.games, our website, where we have links to our email address, our Discord, our social media. All of those are a great way to get in touch with us. Keep the conversation rolling after the show is over, and join the community. Be part of the show. Come and hang out and chat with all the folks about what you thought about the episode, and maybe you'll get your thoughts read on the show next week, all that kind of good stuff. There's plenty of ways for you to go and get involved. And if you want to get some more content from us, of course, remember we've got our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/flipscreengames. Every Wednesday, Steve is there streaming Shenmue. We're getting very close to the end of that, and we'll be voting on the next game to take that spot. So that's another one of those reasons to head over to the Patreon. You get to vote on the games we stream and some of those other kinds of things. So that's a good goodie for you.
And we've got some obscure picks coming from patrons at the moment. So I mean, anything that I can reasonably play is a possibility.
It's on the table.
Yeah, Doc was suggesting Dark Cloud on PlayStation 2, which I have no idea what it is.
I love that game.
It's probably going to make it on the list for voting because Doc wants it there.
That's
so
an interesting one.
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's playable on PS4.
So.
It is.
That's got my vote.
Yeah, that's one of the few PS2 games that you can play. Like they did the PS2 on PS4 series. That's one of them. That's a good pick. That game, I tried to play it as a kid, and I was way too obtuse for me at the time, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Much.
It was so deep. I bought it thinking it was going to be like a Zelda like kind of action adventure game, and I was like, oh my god, this is this is way deeper than my 8-year-old mind can handle right now. So, maybe that'll be a good way for me to learn what that game's actually like by watching you play. And then, of course, on Thursday, we'll be streaming our live reactions to the Game Awards over on twitch.tv/flipscreengames as an official co-streamer. So thank you so much to Steve for applying for that. Thank you to the Game Awards for giving us the okay there. So yeah, I know a bunch of people in the community have asked about that and are looking forward to it. So I hope you'll come and hang out with us for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you've got the bucks, if you want to show your support, head over to the Patreon, get all those good goodies, become a Patreon producer, get access to all this exclusive content and goodies. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do over there. And it's, of course, the best way to show your support and help us keep the show rolling, keep these mics on, and keep our spirits high. So if you're so inclined, go check it out. We've got a link to it on the website. Again, that is flipscreen.games. So for this week of Nintendo Noise, I've been Pete. He's been Chuy, and he's been Steve. I did them in a different order this week. Got to keep you on your toes. We'll see you next week.